Okay, number 14. Let's go through each answer choice. F, it's called upcycling. Okay, we're going to highlight all the places that are the same in each answer choice. So, we have, this is where we see a change. And then sentence 5 is written correctly on the paper. Let's look at sentence 5, how it's written. It's called upcycling, comma, this. All right. I see. Whenever I comma this, I am going to recognize this as a run-on sentence. Please be careful with comma this. This is a new subject. It's starting a new sentence, okay? It is called upcycling, period. This is turning something you would otherwise throw away into a useful item. Comma, this, it starts a new sentence. So, we're going to know that number 5 is not correct because it is a comma splice. So let's look at our other choices. It is called upcycling, period. Or turning something you would otherwise throw away into a useful item. This is a fragment because we're starting with a fanboy, or turning something you would otherwise throw away into a useful item is not a complete sentence. Okay? It's called upcycling, comma, or turning something you would otherwise throw away into a useful item. Okay? Now, this is my IC. Here's my comma. Here's my fanboys. Something you would otherwise throw a useful item, another IC. Okay? So this one has a correct sentence pattern. It's called upcycling, comma, which is turning something you would otherwise throw away. So far it's right, because if I have a comma which, whatever is being said has to clarify what came before it. It's called upcycling, comma, which is turning something you would otherwise throw away into a useful item. This part right here is a fragment. Into a useful item is not a complete sentence. So this period should not be here. So your answer is G. Okay, number 15. What change, if any, needs to be made in sentence 11? Change it to they. So I'm going to assume that you look this up and change stitch to stitch, eliminate that one. Okay. Insert a comma after together. Let's go back to sentence 11. It could be stitched together to make a picnic blanket. It could be stitched together to make a picnic blanket. There's no reason for a comma to be there. I didn't pause. There's no DC, comma, IC. It's not an interrupter. There's no reason for that to be there. So I'm going to mark that off. So now I have to choose between A and D. Change it to they. I must find out what it was talking about. Let's go. So I said it was talking about t-shirts. Well, t-shirts is plural. It's more than one. So I can't say it could be stitched together because I'm talking about more than one thing. I have to say they could be stitched together to make a picnic blanket. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to choose they, and I'm going to eliminate my other answer choice. Now, sentences 12 and 13. We're going to combine these. We know they're not written correctly as they are. So, or you could turn an old windbreaker into a bag to carry a swimsuit. Okay? Or you could turn an old windbreaker into a bag to carry a swimsuit. And a towel to the beach. This part, and a towel to the beach, is a fragment. So I'm going to say no. Or you could turn an old windbreaker into a bag to carry a swimsuit and towel to the beach. That one sounds okay. Or you could turn an old windbreaker into a bag. You could use it to carry. This is what I'm talking about, right? This is a pronoun. Whoops. In the middle of a sentence. With no punctuation. This is a run-on. I'm starting a new sentence. When I say you, it starts a new sentence. So this one is incorrect. G is your answer. Remember, these are important. You, he, she, it, they, we, you, he, she, it, they, we, us, his, any of these words that replace nouns, okay? You have to learn your pronouns. All right, number 17. What change, if any, should be made to sentence 15? You should have looked these up in the dictionary and known that lint, L-I-N-T, comes from the dryer. L-E-N-T is a holiday, so we need the one that comes from the dryer. Change your to you are. Let's check. Sentence 15. Did you know that you can even use the lint from you dryer? Does that make sense? No, it does not. So we are not going to change that to you are. Change the period to a question mark. Let's look and see if this is question. Did you know that you can even use the lint dryer to make a kind of clay? Question mark. Did you know? We need a question mark at the end of a sentence that begins with did you know? Okay. What change should be made in sentence 15? If you looked this one up in the dictionary, you know that breaks and breaks. Let's see. It breaks down. This means it's broken. And this is on a car. So we want this one. Let's see. Delete the comma after plastic. Let's go over the easy one first. I'm sorry. Change its to it is. Let's look at that. Recycling takes an item made of glass, paper, metal, or plastic, breaks it down to it is base material. No. We already could eliminate two easy choices, so now we have a better chance of getting the correct answer. Let's look at the comma after plastic. Recycling takes an item made of glass, comma, paper, comma, metal, comma, or plastic, comma, breaks it down to its base material. This is commas in a list. We need that comma there. But if we weren't 100% sure, let's look at J. Changed used to uses. Now this is tense, and we need to check the tense of all other verbs in the sentence, okay? So used is past tense, uses is present tense. We cannot shift verb. We have to have the same verb tense. So let's look at sentence 19. Recycling takes an item made of glass, paper, metal, or plastic, breaks it down to its base material, and then used that material to make another product, or uses. Uses matches takes and breaks. So we're going to choose our answer as uses. Now, number 19, how should sentence 22 be changed? Change reduce to reduce. This is spelling, and I'm going to have looked that up in the dictionary, and I know that that's wrong. Okay. We already protects is not owning anything. Okay? Insert a semicolon after landfills. Let's check. Again, look, a pronoun in the middle of the sentence with no punctuation is wrong. So I know that I need a semicolon there to separate the two ICs. Please write it again. A pronoun in the middle of a sentence with no punctuation is wrong. Number 20. What change, if any, should be made in sentence 29? This one is spelling, and I'm going to mark that one off the list because I have a dictionary, and I'm going to assume that you're never going to get one of these spelling questions wrong. Change the comma to a semicolon. Let's look at that one before we do the capitalization one. Sentence 29 says, during the Great Depression, excuse me, in the 1930s, comma, this is a DC. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, comma, IC. Did you hear me pause? During the Great Depression in the 1930s, many families lived on a tight budget. DC, comma, IC, we have to have that comma there. I'm going to write my sentence patterns. IC, semicolon, IC, DC, comma, IC, period, IC, DC, period, IC, comma, fanboys, IC, period. All right. Never, 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 IC, comma, IC, period is a big fat comma splice. So we need that to remain a comma because the correct pattern is DC, comma, IC. Okay, now, here is the thing. Great Depression has to be capitalized. This is a specific time in history. Okay? So, things like Great Depression, Industrial Revolution, the Dust Bowl, those things have to be capitalized because it's a specific time in history. Also, any wars, Revolutionary Wars, those have capitalized. Okay, 21. What change needs to be made to sentence 31? Let's check. Sentence 31. Flour sacks were used to make clothes. Okay, so look, sacks were used to make a broken door. Would we say a broke door? No. So we're going to eliminate this one. Became a new table. Now it's asking us to change this to becomes. So we need to check all the other verbs. Became, were used, make. We need to keep this became. It's in the past. Became a new table. And scrap old clothing or scrapes from old clothing. No, it's scraps. That means piece, okay? So now, our only other option is D. Scraps from old clothing was fashioned, or scraps from old clothing were fashioned. It's were. Okay? Remember, was means one thing, were means more than one thing. Okay? So my answer is D. Was is singular, were is plural. What, if any, should be made in sentence 33? Change responsible to responsible. Let's look at the other ones. Delete the comma. Sentence 33 says, as responsible citizens. This is my DC, comma, IC. I need the comma. Insert a comma after environment. As responsible citizens, we should be protecting our environment, comma, and here's my fanboy, okay? I have IC, Budgeting our resources is not an IC, so I do not need a comma there. Alright, so now it's between F and J, and guess what? If you look this up in the dictionary, you will see that responsible is spelled with an I. Okay, that is the passage for new treasures, and the things that you need to remember are to use your dictionary always for every time it's asking you to change the spelling. You need to remember that anytime it's asking you to use Y-O-U''RE, you're going to replace it with U-R. Anytime it's asking you to write IT''S, you're going to replace it with it is. Anytime a pronoun in the middle of a sentence with no punctuation, you're going to mark it out. Okay. Now, when you're ready to move on, we'll go to the final passage on this test, choosing a dog.